This week, after cooling off from IRX 17, we head over Yonder to deal with a dead matter by starting up our own weapon running business. Let's get this ride started with episode 131 of Indie Game Riot. Indie Game Riot! Hey everybody, this is Josh, and I am joined once again by Eric M. Hunter, up on my right, up on the left. The bearded lady is still there because we still do not have the Reverend with us. He was there for IRX a couple weeks ago, luckily able to borrow some equipment for the weekend. However, he is back on his computerless, technology disadvantaged life horse. I don't know what I'm going with there, but anyway. Unfortunately not, but hopefully soon, eventually. I mean, maybe if like 50 of you out there donate 10 bucks. Think that'd be 500.
That'd be $500.
20 bucks. We can get him a laptop. Yeah, let's do that. I'm sure that's possible at this moment. I'd shit myself if that actually happened, but hey, you know, whatever. Anyway. We've got some games going on. We're going to be talking about IRX recap coming up, as well as Yonder, the Cloud Catcher Chronicles, Dead Matter, and Merchant, the mobile game. However, the first thing we're going to talk about is what's been going on since the last episode. It's been like 3, almost 4 weeks because of IRX. Well, I mean, technically there was an episode during IRX, but you know what I mean. For you, it's been 3 or 4 weeks almost.
Right, yeah. I've been busy, been staying busy. Newborn no more baby is going to turn 1 here in a couple of days.
Are you sad?
No, I don't care.
There's a I don't know if you're planning on having yeah, I don't really give a fuck.
It's whatever,
eats my
man.
food and shits all over the place.
He's alive and happy. That's all that matters.
Sometimes I think that too. I'm like, as long as he's alive, I've succeeded.
Right.
Are you planning on having more kids?
Oh, Jesus, do you want a schedule? Is that what you're looking for? Or some videos? You want me to...
Actually, I'd like a sperm sample so I can test your virility.
The offer's always on the table. So we haven't rolled it out. We're doing a lot of practice, though.
Right, good.
So practice makes perfect.
Yeah, I would. I encourage practice.
It's good.
What I was asking, where I was getting at was that I have 2 kids, and I wouldn't mind having more, but financially speaking, that's just a bad idea.
Right.
So, but hey, there's always this like moment where we come across people's like newborns, or 1 year or younger, and they're super cute and funny because they make weird faces and do weird things.
And then you look down at your kids and you're like, yeah, you used to be that cute.
Yeah. But then I have this moment of panic because I can see the face of my wife where she's like, I want another one. I'm like, no, not right now.
I've realized that I like, and this is going to sound weird now that I say it in my head, but I like people calling me daddy.
Yeah.
So it's like, my kid, he'll say dada. He doesn't know what it means.
Right. But
he'll happily say it and, shout it at the top of his lungs. So I'm just like, yeah, what? And he looks at me like, fucking what? What do you want? Oh,
I'm just saying things, man. What the fuck?
We haven't made that connection.
It's a free
yet.
fucking country, bitch.
Right? Yeah. And then he pulls out that switchblade, and I'm like, when did you buy that switchblade? Man, is that my switchblade?
It's like, ain't none of your business, motherfucker. And then he takes a swig. It was 40. Yeah, that's how it goes down in Eric Hunter's house.
Colt 45.
IGR, call his daddy. Yeah,
there you go.
I actually do like being called daddy as well, but not for those weird reasons. I just like the fact that I thought I get these weird nostalgia. I don't know if it's nostalgia, but these weird thoughts where I'm like, I think back to when I was like in school, and I'm like, if I have I can't even imagine. I couldn't back then. I couldn't imagine where I'd be right now with being called daddy by a young
right
human. So It's I get this weird reality check sometimes. Like, shit, man, I'm a daddy. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't know.
No, I get that for sure. That's why we play video games, man.
Yeah.
That's why I play video games.
To be called daddy?
No, to escape the realities of the world because I am daddy. You know, because I work a 45-hour job where I'm underpaid and underappreciated, and
it's stressful.
You know,
I understand. Trust me.
Stress ain't too bad. I'm okay with the stress.
I don't know. I understand. It's just overall, it's rough.
Yeah.
All day, every day. But
I'd rather be playing video games.
Hey, man, video games are awesome. And that said, I think we should talk about some video games. But first, the news with Indie News Injection.
Are you bored with the same old games?
Yeah.
Why, then give yourself an Indie News Injection.
Thanks, Indie Games.
Caught that on recording too. 3, 2, 1. This week on Indie News Injection, we are talking about Indie Revolution Expo 2017, and this time, likely for the last time, until like January probably, we're going to be talking about Indie Revolution Expo. But this time, it's not just to let you know it's happening, because it's already happened. A couple of weeks ago it happened. We're recapping it now. If you weren't there, it's your fault, motherfucker. You should have been there. It was a good time.
Probably should have been there.
It was a good time.
It was a good time.
We all got 100% burnt out after that. But you know,
ran into little technical issues that was not on the part of you guys, but on Twitch, which was strange.
Yeah, that was weird. I don't know. I'm glad it wasn't us though. I'm glad. Like, I sat there and I was like, well, I'm glad this is out of my hands. Like, it sucks because I can't do anything about it, but at the same time, you can't blame me. Not this time.
There you go.
So, but yeah, I just wanted to recap that. First of all, we did get some feedback. Every year we always send a questionnaire out. We did get some feedback. Where's the summary at? About like like signing up for IRX, like how easy it is, like the panels and things like that, and comments and just so we can improve from year to year.
Because you don't want to go backwards. You don't want it to be worse.
Well, that's the thing, because I mean, usually people only fill these things out when
there's a problem.
When there's a problem, right?
Yep.
I mean, not in this case, not really. It's more like 50-50, because a lot of people just want to be like, "Hey, thanks for doing what you did," which I appreciate. But this year, I feel like I try not to take it personally because I'm asking for feedback, but sometimes I can't help, because I'm like, I put so much work and energy into this, and you're still not happy.
Well, you got to think too, like Rev didn't pick up until what, like the day before, or something like that. Like, it was super last minute.
No, he was planning on being there for a while. He had that set up for a while.
Oh, okay.
It was just the whole aspect.
But you were still technically short one.
Yeah, we were short one person for 2 of the days, and it was the whole aspect of just it was kind of a bumblefuck leading up to it, just because of the whole hosting situation. But it's nothing you can really do about that. So I wouldn't mind getting your thoughts, since you were involved with it. I don't know if you filled it out or not, because it's all anonymous, but I'd still like to get your thoughts. You did?
I did.
Oh, well.
I think I did.
You were the one that's like, this shit sucks.
I did.
I knew it.
Was it a bunch of like finger emojis? So, did you see those?
No fingers. Yeah. And then you put in like a wang with the number 3 and equal signs.
A little peach. Or what is it? No, it's a eggplant. That's what
Yeah.
So if one comes off incoherent, it probably is mine, because I got super wasted when I filled it out. Or let me take that back. It's not like I got drunk. It was like, let's get drunk so I can fill out this questionnaire. Like, I got drunk, and then I was like, man, I'm bored. Oh, I got to fill out this questionnaire. So if like one of them was like riddled with spelling errors, like that one's mine for sure.
I think I know what it is.
Boom.
I'm pretty sure. But anyway, so one of the questions was, what, if anything, could be improved about the sign-up process? And that's regarding to signing up your game to exhibit or panels or things like that, because you don't actually have to sign up to show up or anything. It's just to exhibit or do a presentation. Something better than Google Docs. It's 2017 or 18. which I don't get that last part because it's still 2017. But just and the reason I'm going through this is because I want to point out some things that we would like to change but can't, or some things I'm like, oh, that's a good point, I should change it, like we did last year. So Google Docs, I don't know what would be a better alternative that would be cost effective, as in free.
There it is. That's the problem. So, like, yeah, you could totally put together an entire forum that's protected against JavaScript and HTML and all that stuff, and then hit submit, and it's good to go, and have PHP handle on the back end. But I don't fucking. Do you know how to do any of that?
No.
Me neither.
So, I mean, I would love to.
Google Docs.
I will say, if you out there know how to do that, if you know how to code something like that and put it and implement it into WordPress, I am more than happy to accept your services as a volunteer basis, volunteer basis. Or if you know a program or software or something like that that I could use as just as good, if not better, that's free. Again, to remind everyone, we do this for free, outside of we get donations through various means, and the sponsorships and yada yada and merch, but we don't make people pay to be exhibited. We don't make people pay to show up. So it's there's no
tickets to buy.
Right. There's nothing to cover overhead is what I'm getting at.
Well, we talked about this before, where it's like, where's that happy medium? Do you know what I mean? Because it was like, wouldn't it be great that we could have an Indie Game Expo that was physical and IRL that you could go to? And it's like, yeah, but I mean, it's such a small community, realistically. And it's like, you can tie it with other things, but you're still going to be stuck trying to find vendors and sponsors and people who are willing to donate their time for free and blah, blah, blah. Like,
exactly.
You're just complicating a complicated process.
And this isn't me trying to shit on this person's feedback. I'm just explaining.
I'm shitting on it.
Oh, he can shit on it all he wants, but I'm not shitting on it. I'm just explaining why it's not probably going to change.
Yeah, dude, shit stuff.
Provide a proper way of sending you a press kit ahead of time. This is something, instead of asking for like linked images and links throughout the form. I might do that next time, actually. It's not a bad idea. The thing with the images is that they need to be a specific size, otherwise they get squashed by the format of WordPress and the table that I use for it to keep it organized. So, and not everyone has I think it was like 250 by 300 or something like that is what I asked for. Not everyone has that just readily available in their press kit. So, and even then, people still don't read. They just throw a link in there. It's like, send me a logo, and they don't read.
Here's my zip.
Yeah. But that's not a bad idea. I probably would be best if someone had if we had press kits available for everyone, because it's something that there's something in my mouth. It's something that can be done for free. And I don't think it's too much to ask for someone to get prepared to have their game exhibited, to just set up a quick press kit. It's not, it doesn't have to be super detailed. You just need to have like the basics in there. So that's an example of something that is good feedback that I can change and may very well do. So thank you for that. Some kind of editing info after the sign up and before the expo. That's not an option as far as I'm aware on Google Forms. However, you can edit, or not edit, but you can update the information by emailing irx@indiegameriot.com. That way, I just keep the updates and change it that way.
Or Discord?
Yeah, but it's best to have like one place to keep it all, especially for me, so I can like have it all and then look the day before and be like, okay, these are the things I need to swap out.
Right.
But I think I could probably do a better job at communicating the options there. So I'll try and remember that for next year and find a better way to make it apparent for that you can send updated information to one place. So thank you for that. If there were more, this might be you, I'm not sure. If there were more details about scheduling and who to contact would make it easier to prep early and move personal schedules around for the final dates times.
I have no idea.
If there were
that sounds dreadful, though.
If there were more details about scheduling and who to I think that's basically covering the same thing as last time. So better communication from myself about where to send.
Well, and I think because wasn't it like you guys were kind of like last minute on like, oh, we might have to move this up or down the day before, stuff like that, maybe?
A few things. However, we did have, I did send out a newsletter once per month updating everyone. Plus, I encouraged everyone to either follow us on Twitter or join the Discord because their updates are more frequent there, like as they come. So, I mean, outside of like the new, because first of all, I have a lot to do. So monthly newsletters is most I can handle unless I find, someone to handle the PR aspect of everything. But I'll try and be better at communication for things like that to make it more apparent. Let me see. No suggestions, surprisingly, for improving the exhibits. Which I'm happy about. We made some changes from last year, so maybe outside of like probably things that we covered during the expo about timing, and that's always an issue. Just trying to figure out how long a segment should be compared to like, and part of that too is I think I need to be more strict with gameplay videos. I'm gonna sneeze. We got some that were like 30 seconds long. And it's like, well, I mean, we can only talk so much about that. So
30 seconds, you just keep looping it. Yeah, it's annoying.
Yeah, I think I need to be more specific. Like 2 to 3 minutes is what we're looking for, and then we can talk over it and play it one more time and talk over it. And because the aim is to have like 10 minutes per game, but there's only so much you can do at a certain point. Maybe like 7 to 8 minutes per game would be good if we added another game or two per section. So,
sure,
always a challenge finding a balance to that. So. The most favorite presentation is how to cast. I'm surprised by this. I mean, a lot of things were voted for most favorite, but the most favorite is how to cast indirect voiceovers for your game. So I'm glad you guys like that. That was actually something I threw in the last minute. So hopefully I can bring that back again. Bring back some of the same people, different people. I was worried people were going to be like, you just wanted to do that because you're talking about yourself. And I was like, well, I just kind of want to moderate. Just so it happens that I also...
Yeah, unless you're in it. I mean, that's...
The least interesting, I don't want to say, just so I don't get anyone who was voted for butthurt.
I want to hear it, though.
Oh, no. I'm not saying about any of these. I know how things go on the internet.
It's true.
Do you have any suggestions for presentations? More. I'd love to see more scheduled into the time slots. We actually had more last year. Again, with part of the reason with things that were kind of crazy with hosting and stuff like that also cut back on my prep time. I can get to contact a lot more people as we did previously. So, yes, I would love to have more. But at the same time, people want more new things and more gameplay. And there's only 3 days, and we can't do it literally 24 hours. Well, it would be 72 hours over the weekend, unless we had like other people that we could do in shifts with. And even then, I'd be worried because there would be downtime, and it wouldn't be fair. But I mean, it's something to think about if we ever found more manpower to add into it. But I would love to have more. It's something I would agree with. Let's see, anything else I want to go. General feedback. While everything is great, the only problem was viewers only getting giveaways in Steam-only platforms, not to mention how rare it is to interact to the viewers. Something other than basic Twitch stuff could help improve it. People in a run-on sentences, man.
Punctuation is hard.
Punctuation can kill. We didn't only give away Steam codes. We gave away itch.io and mobile as well.
I think they mean like just PC based, maybe. They were looking for like console, maybe.
Well, the problem with that is that I don't know. The majority of people who exhibit at IRX don't do things on console. Some do. Like Metronomicon, I think just is actually about to release on Xbox One. But they just generally don't. If codes were given for that, I would. But the other problem is that it's a much more limited audience for that. Like people generally, most people don't necessarily have said console that want the game and that are going to watch. It would be, again, different if we had like a shit ton of people watching, because then the chances are that there are, even if it's a small group, there's still a group of people that would do it.
Sure.
So, I mean, point is that I'm not opposed to giving those away. It's just that there's a chance that they just might not get taken, and then I'll be stuck with a fucking Xbox One code, and I don't have an Xbox, so I'm not going to use it.
Yep.
So, anyway, would like to see more live plays, analysis, and or dev interviews. I thought about dev interviews. It's not a bad idea. The problem with that is I'm afraid it's just not fair, like, to pick and choose interviews, but at the same time, maybe it kind of is if I, like... I don't know. I feel like I'd have to think about that and find a good way to go about it. The other problem is if I do some interviews or something like that, that's going to take time away from other things that we do. Exhibits, for instance, or panels, or whatever.
Right.
So, but I like the idea, and it's something I'm going to think about. Last thing is spell checking. One of our panelists had a misspelled name on the stream overlay, noticed after the fact. Maybe a little more time for prep and double checking before going live. I mean, 15 minutes for prep is all I can really spare. Can't really dig into other... Holy shit, someone's followed. Thanks. Sorry. It always shocks me every time I hear that. The hell? This.
And you lost your place. Jeez.
Yeah, it throws me off. But anyway, I do apologize for that, and I don't really know what else to say.
Hey, man.
I'm sorry.
Shit happens. Yeah, I mean,
I got a lot going on, man. But anyway, that was it for that. Now for Indie Revolution Expo 2017, I will say, first of all, I want to ask you, because when you were generally the viewer. Also, your experience doing the presentation. What games out of that? Because we kind of talked about this during the episode during IRX. What games are you most excited about trying if you haven't already tried them? Out of IRX specifically.
Oh, Jesus, man. I don't know.
I'm going to put you on a spot.
You're going to have to. I need a list now. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can pull something up. There was one that I went out and just bought. Like
First
after...
language was Greek. Johnny Cat said, I don't know any Greek.
It's all Greek to me.
Yeah.
Oh,
I wonder, is that a saying in Greece? I wonder if it is.
No, I think
they probably, every time they hear like an American say that, they're like, "What does that mean?"
Well, it's probably like another country's like.
I wonder if they
to the face.
Well, maybe they would say it's all English to me, because English is a fucking stupid language.
True. I don't know, man. I got nothing. I know I bought something after.
I will say I'm happy. I don't know if it was more than previous years or not, because I don't have like access to sales figures, but I'm aware of more people buying games out of IRX because of IRX.
Right.
Which I'm happy about. One of the main goals is obviously get to support those devs.
Well, yeah, of course.
So I'm happy about that. Well, instead of games, I mean, I don't know how much you were able to see since you had to work, but was there a particular presentation maybe that you were like...
Absolutely. Let me see if I can find his last name, because it escapes me. I want to say his first name was Mark. He's talked about the game immersion.
Right. Mark is the... it wasn't Mark that talked about it. Mark is the guy who owns that company. And I thought he was going to do it, but then he's like, oh, it's going to be Ian. It was Ian that did it. But okay. Yeah, that's dealing with immersion. That was very impressive. A good presentation.
Very impressive.
And Ian, after working with him doing the voice acting, Ian is he knows what he's doing with narrative. Like, and I mentioned to you before the show. I can't say a whole lot about it, but he basically wrote in a new character, which also included a shit ton of new lore. He just built this universe like overnight, like built it out more, and it's super impressive. So good job, Ian, on that. And the game I'm talking about, for those of you who are wondering, is called Tether. Very early in development, but looks great in Unity 4. It's going to be a psychological horror game, and already got attention, even though it's not like, I don't even know if it's considered alpha or not. So, just saying.
Yeah, that one was because like he touched on things where it's like I remember noticing while playing certain games, but then wasn't really able to put it into words of how I experienced it, if that makes sense.
Right.
And he was just like, "Oh, it's blah blah blah," and I'm like, "Son of, that's exactly what it is."
Why is he
so
smarter?
like, yeah, it was real. That was probably my favorite one. But the other thing, as you mentioned, I was working, so it's like I'm happy that you guys are putting all these up on YouTube and segments, because now I can go back and actually sit down and analyze them and like take notes and like have comments for stuff and
which, by the way, speaking of that, they are slowly coming up. There's, I want to say, half of the stuff has already been posted. If you go to IndieGameRiot.com and go to the Indie Revolution Expo tab and hover over it, you'll see an option for IRX Archive, or just Archive, I forget how I labeled it, but that will take you to all the, not just IRX 17, but also 16 and 15. So you can check them all out there. And they are slowly going up if you missed IRX, and you can check out not only the presentations, but also the exhibits, the IRX Jam showcases, the and the live gameplay segments. Were you were around for the awards though, right?
Yes.
Yes. So, did you agree with the awards? I want to say, or what did you think about the awards that were given out?
I mean, yeah, why would I disagree with the awards? Confused.
Why? Well, maybe you thought maybe a game deserved best writing more than
I mean,
or something.
No, not Lamplight. I don't know. Like, I think one of the interesting things about like awards for stuff like this is that obviously there's a lot more personality that goes into it, rather than like the Academy Awards or the Oscars or anything like that. So it's hard to debate an award where it's like, oh, well, we believe that it has this very specific thing, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. And then I don't know, like it makes me want to experience that game to get an idea of like why you would say that, or why you would pick this game for XYZ. So
I'm just trying to pull some conflict and conversation out of you.
It's all bullshit. You guys are assholes.
That's actually how it goes down generally when we debate the awards. I always end up getting a little butthurt, and we yell at each other, and it's a good time. Although,
it usually always comes down to one person making the decision.
With Jacob from Indie Hangover helping us this year, it was he's more agreeable generally, so
Gotcha.
It was a little bit easier. He's like, yeah, I'm all right with that decision. I'm like, what, really? We're not going to argue about this for another hour?
There you go.
Wow. So,
what was the game with the panties? Yeah, that game. That's the number one game. Let's do that one.
How popular are these awards? Do people who do not develop games follow these? I don't know. I mean, people who know us and Indie Revolution Expo follow them. I will say that. Since you're new to the channel, Johnny B. Cat in the chat, I will say basically we do this podcast, Indie Game Riot, but then every July, mid-July, we also do an expo called Indie Revolution Expo. We run it. It's a 3-day expo for indie games, all free, all digital, here on Twitch. Obviously, you just missed it. It happened back on the 14th, I think, through the 16th. So, and then at the end of the expo, we give away awards for depending, like best writing, best art, that sort of stuff, to the games that were exhibited during the expo, all culminating to the big prize, which is the most revolutionary game, aka game of show, basically. So, and this year, for those of you who, spoiler alert, by the way, if you would rather go watch it when it gets posted, but this year the winner is the Metronomicon. And generally, this is like this is a game, again, to explain what goes into this choice. It's a game that maybe not necessarily won an award in other categories, but was like up there in most of them, like in the discussion for most of them. It's the best all-around game, and the Metronomicon won that by Pooba. So I highly recommend going to check that out. And I'm already talking to, as is tradition these past few years, I'm already talking to their artists about designing next year's logo for IRX in the Metronomicon design, which I'm super excited about. That's going to look
awesome.
Cool. And then, obviously making the limited edition t-shirt, which is actually still available. I forgot to make it unavailable. So, hey, if you wanted to get that shirt, you still have a chance. I should probably go do that after this, but it's there. Anyway, I'm trying to think if there's anything else about IRX I wanted to go over. I just want to say to everyone who was there, thank you again for showing up and showing so much support, whether it be sharing through social media, just being in chat and talking with us. Some of you were there literally the entire time that we were there, which blows my mind because I feel like I'm crazy for doing it, and then to see other people just as crazy to do it with us.
Yeah, I will say there was a ton of like really good conversations going on, like through pretty much all of it.
Yeah,
there's
some deep. I mean, the immersion one was one that got some really good conversations, and there was another one that got kind of deep too. Oh, it was the going down your own path. I forget what the actual title was, but there was some deep stuff going in there about personal experiences while working on games and stuff like that. So, John and Kat, you're crazy. Well, hey, yeah, you should next year, mid-July, if you're sticking around, then
make it happen.
You can stick with us the entire weekend. It would be awesome. So, well, you know what else is awesome there, Eric?
So we're starting riots, right?
Starting riots is pretty awesome. This week on Starting the Riot, we are talking about a game that is incredibly charming, and I wish Rev was here for this particular game because he's super into these kinds of games. It is called Yonder, or Yonder, the Cloudcatcher Chronicles, which the title was too long for me to put that on the thing. So Yonder is just what we're going with. It's by Prideful Sloth. And a lot of people are comparing it to Stardew Valley with a little bit of Pokemon elements and Zelda-ishness.
And there's crafting available in the game. And
yeah, there's crafting, and it's basically the whole game. The idea for the whole game is non-violence. There's no combat in the game. Nothing can hurt you. Closest thing to dying is like if you go into the water or something too deep because you can't swim, and then just teleports you back to the beach.
I'm so sick of that dumb, stupid game mechanic. Like, oh, you can't swim.
Well, I mean, when you think about it, like it's probably a lot of unnecessary resources for a game that has nothing out in the water for you. For it to like allow you to swim.
Well, it's one of those. I kind of throw it in the same group as like, oh, okay, well, we have this window. Do we let the player look through the window? Sure. Okay, well, what's on the other side of the window? I don't know. Maybe just another boring hallway with nothing really interesting to put. Then why are you letting me look at the window? Like, if there's nothing going to be there, then don't waste my time. Like,
I mean, I don't. That isn't necessarily a problem for me. My problem is when, it's the same concept, is when there's exploration involved and they have like an empty room basically, and so you can go in the room, you can look around the room, but it's ultimately a giant waste of time. I can't stand that shit.
Yeah,
because it's like, well, why do you even have this unlocked? Why are these drawers that I can open empty? Why even let me open? It's a waste of time. It's a game filler, is what that is. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. It is Yonder, actually. Speaking of exploration, Yonder, that is the main mechanic of Yonder, is exploration. That is what this game is all about. You are in this land that I can't remember the name of, and you are finding these, you're seeing it on screen right now, these sprites that help you clear away the purple gunk that is hanging around. Again, I can't remember the name of it. I haven't actually played it for like a week, but I got kind of far in it. And it is addictive. It's one of those games that like once you're out of it, you're like, okay, I'm set free. But once you're playing it, then you're like 10 hours later, you're like, what the fuck?
Just one more hour. Just one more hour.
Because again, with the expert, the land seems vast and kind of empty, but at the same time, they do a good job of making you not empty, but like it's like isolated. It's just you. But at the same time, they make it. It doesn't feel dead. If that makes sense. You ever play those games?
It's like you're not just walking around aimlessly with nothing to look at. Like there's things to interact with. They're kind of interesting to do.
Remember Dragon Age 2?
Unfortunately.
And how that felt when you were walking around. Like you're in this supposedly huge city and there's like 5 people in the streets. Like that kind of feeling.
Well, it's the whole idea of like with Assassin's Creed. It's like, oh, we have this giant open world. We also have fast travel because the open world is terrible. So let's just fast travel on out. Like,
yeah. But this game does a really good job. Even though it is empty, generally speaking, you don't feel like you're just in a wasteland. It feels like a place that still immerses you.
Yeah, it feels lived in.
Yeah, and you walk around and you explore, but it's one of those games where you find something, or you discover a secret, you discover a collectible, whatever, and you're just like, oh, okay. And then off in the distance, you're like, what is that? And you go and investigate that, and then off in the distance, what is that? And you go investigate that, and that's how the time just gets sunk into this game.
Yeah.
So
it's real pretty.
It is really nice.
It's a very nice looking game. Like they didn't go super detailed with the characters or the backgrounds, but they did more of like a storybook kind of like artistic way about it. It's very appealing. Yeah.
The crafting system in this game, I'm not overly impressed with. I mean, it adds some mechanic to it, but it kind of feels
like bolted on, maybe.
Yeah, like unnecessary. Yeah.
You can also craft. Like, I don't.
Okay, well, why don't you just just give me the items. They do kind of do that though with tools. Like they don't degrade the tools, and you get them through completing quests for people. So you get a pickaxe, you get an axe, so you can chop wood, mine things. And there are some it's basically like some of the fetch quests and stuff like that are probably like the weakest part of the game. But the fetch quests at least give you an excuse to go explore, which is why it's not so bad. Again, being exploration being the main mechanic of the game.
Right.
So this game is super chill too. Talking about the non-violence and stuff like that. If you like Stardew Valley, a lot of people are like, I play that game to relax. This is a game that you play to relax. Really nice music, really nice art to look at, and it's just completely chill. No stress whatsoever. And it's not even like there is a day-night cycle, but there's no like clock running like there is in Stardew Valley, which makes me stressed because I'm like, shit, I got to get this done. I got to be efficient. And this is like I can do whatever the fuck I want, whenever I want.
And none of it's gonna matter.
And there is a storyline to follow with quest lines to follow, but you can do areas of the map are blocked off with that purple shit, but generally speaking, you can do whatever you want and go wherever you want, however you want to. And the map is big too, so it's not just this little area for you to explore and then you're forced to, try and unlock the next area. There's also a mechanic, mentioning Stardew Valley, there's also a mechanic where you get your own farm, where you can plant crops, take care of animals. You actually discover animals throughout the world. And then I scratched that about the fetch quest. The worst part about this game is this. I mean, it's a gripe, but I just got to point this out: is bringing those goddamn animals back to your farm. There has to be a better way.
Oh, is it like a herding aspect?
I mean, like in Minecraft, like how you had to like lead them with shit.
Oh,
in this case, basically, you
idea.
feed them. First of all, you have to find their favorite food, or craft it or whatever, and you feed it to them. And then they're like, "Oh, okay, well, I guess I'll follow you because I'm like a kid falling into
because you got my food
into a van." But anyway,
oh, it's getting real hot in here. I smell bacon all of a sudden.
So they'll follow you, but they're super slow, and they get stuck on things. And sometimes you're walking from like across the goddamn map just to get it back to your farm.
Yeah.
Now I didn't get far enough, but I think there are other farms that you can unlock.
That might be closer, so it's not that far of a walk.
It might be the case, yeah.
I gotcha.
This
game looks like a completionist nightmare.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah, in a way, but I don't know if I would call it a nightmare. I think it might take a while, but it's not like impossible. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There are some games where you're just like, this is going to take me 200 hours just because I can't do it. So, I mean, it's not like that sort of thing. It's just large and they call it the Merc. I just saw it on screen, the purple shit.
Oh, okay.
Merc.
I was going to go with the Taint.
The Taint is what... Right. Well, Garrett said that's what he was going to call the purple shit in his game. The Taint, which I actually like better, to be honest.
You've been attacked by the Taint.
Yeah.
Oh, it stinks.
Don't touch the Taint.
You don't want to know what happens when you touch the Taint. Wow, we just dumped this episode into the trash.
Indie Game Riot, dumping shit into the trash.
There you go.
The Taint of the indie game industry.
It's $29.99. It's on PlayStation 4, which is kind of interesting. I think $30 for this is a perfect price. I think any more or any less, you're kind of cutting yourself short or asking for too much. I think $29.99 is pretty good.
And by the way, if you get it on PC and or PS4, you can unlock it on the other. So if you get it for PC, you can unlock it on PS4 for free.
Which is very cross-buy.
So there you go. Cross-buy.
See, that's how you got to do it, too. So this developer knows what's up.
Damn straight. You know else who knows what up? English?
Oh, well, you want to start over? Try it again?
Yep. Do you know what else is up?
Peep Show.
Please give all your attention to Early Access.
This week on Peep Show, the game that we're talking about is Dead Matter. And it's actually currently on Kickstarter.
And it crushed its goal.
It is crushing the goal. So a lot of people, the haters of, first of all, it's in the genre of online multiplayer survival crafting a zombie, which has been done to death, let's be honest, which is why it's getting a lot of hate. But they're adding in mechanics to this game and a level quality, which, by the way, this started off as a DayZ mod, I believe it was.
Originally released as a mod for Crysis 2. So,
Crysis 2.
That's all
I forget what I was thinking for DayZ. But anyway, I knew it was a mod. I got half right, and that's all that matters. Dead Matter by Quantum Integrity. They are creating a zombie game where they claim you can actually play this however the fuck you want, including creating your own map with I'm assuming workshop tools. I'm just assuming, like workshop support for Steam.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know how else they would really do that without maybe they're release source code. I don't know how that works with multiplayer games, but anyway, you can create your own maps and play on them in various servers and things like that. You can play however you want. So there's going to be an economy in the game, so you can barter and trade and be a merchant. Technically, I mean, there's not like a class in the game that's called merchant, but you can be that guy. You can hide in whatever building. You can create your own fortress, or you can claim a house and make that your fortress to live in, your base. Hordes of zombies, obviously, if you're a zombie fan. What were you looking at that I mean, was it the map making that caught your interest?
So the map making is pretty cool looking. I always give a thumbs up to any kind of developer who's willing to be like, hey, here's the back end of the game so you can do whatever the hell you want with it. Like, that's one that takes balls, because you're kind of giving away your secrets for something you might use down the road. Also, like, I feel like it's a lost art to put in a video game nowadays. It's kind of like because it's so much easier just to not even waste your time, because the amount of people who are actually going to use that is probably going to be like, what, 20% of your player base? But that 20% is going to be so dedicated to you and is going to be piping your shit for like months on end because you did something as silly as a level editor. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it just brings in more people because they're going to create awesome shit that you didn't even think of as a developer. And then that's going to bring in more people who are like, wow, what the fuck? There's so much that can happen in this game. And also, I just wanted to point out, it's showing off, like, there's weapon and vehicle skins if you're into the cosmetic type stuff. It is Unreal that they're using for that editor. And when you're creating your base or setting up a base, you can do it however you want. It's not like, even if it's like a place that you're claiming, you can still customize it with, like, you can place whatever wherever. You know, it's not just like immovable furniture. You can even put up barricades however the fuck you want, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you can set lights up that point in a certain direction, and
I'm assuming traps. Basically make it like your own little tower defense type thing if you wanted to. I would guess. I'm gonna actually get out of this because it's going to like their Kickstarter stuff, and go to the Kickstarter page to bring up some of that info. Doesn't matter.
So the only thing that worries me about stuff like this, so anytime I see a Kickstarter, so that scalability would be another thing. Because it works great with the 5 developers who were playtesting the game on a single server, but when you have 100 people running it on a single server, it's like, it doesn't work out too well. The other thing that always bothers me is the price. So I always go through the Kickstarter tiers to see, like, okay, how much do I have to spend to get the game? So in this, $30 Canadian, which is roughly about $24 American, is way too low for a game with this big of a scope.
But if it was higher, do you think people would actually? I mean, at this point, I guess so, because I mean, a lot of people already backed it, so obviously a lot of people believe in it. But the higher you go, the less people are willing to buy in.
True, but it also shows that you are looking to release this as like, no, this is exactly what this game is worth. Like, you can't sell yourself short. Like, if you have these ambitions to make this game in the scope that they're claiming that they're making it, and you have, I mean, they're showing off a ton of shit. Like, alpha footage, my ass. Like, some of this stuff looks legit done. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, they've been working on this for a while. So if I feel like if you're selling yourself short and you're only selling your game for 25 when you should be selling it for 40, then you're just going to automatically lose money. And it's going to be even harder on your back end because you're going to have, I would rather have a single player have a 100% experience that is perfect for them rather than 2 players have a half-ass experience and make the same amount of money. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, that's not the way you're supposed to look at this, because it's always like, the more people play, the more money I'll make. But it's like, man, somewhere down the road, the quality has to survive, because will this game still exist 3 years from now? Or will it be shit on because the servers couldn't support it and the devs couldn't fill in through the back end, that you might as well charge $40 for it to get your money up front?
Well, one of 2 things could be happening, too. One, I mean, they are, from what I know, amateur developers, because they were working on mods, not full-blown games until now, as far as I know. And they could just, like, not have the experience to do that, to figure that business side out, if that makes sense.
Right.
Or their goal of 47,710 being obliterated with 138,407 is enough to cover that for a while until they can recoup losses. Maybe they're going to do some like cosmetic stuff, kind of like how Unknown Battlegrounds, whatever the fuck that game is called.
Yeah, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. Yep.
Something like that, where they have
PUBG.
Where you can get cosmetics and shit like that for, game's got to make money somehow, and I'm okay as long as it's not pay to win, to get those cosmetics, and they can pay for unlockables or whatever. So maybe they could do it that way. Who knows? I don't know.
I feel like a lot of this, and it's, I don't know, like, I feel one of the biggest things that I always run into, especially when it comes to stuff like this and like indie games and Kickstarters, is like, God, you got to remember that there's a business behind this. Like, you can't just sit down with your friends and make a game and then release it and think it's all going to be hunky dory. Like, you can't do that anymore, because there's too many games out there that are far less expensive than what your game is. Like, where are you putting me in a place where I want to play this game? Does that make sense? Like,
yeah,
you can't just be a dev anymore. Like, you have to be a marketer, you have to be a social media expert, like, you have to be able to put like a newsletter together, and you have to do tech support. Like, you have to do all of these things.
The marketing is the big thing. And Garrett in chat mentioned Ark, how it came out of early access, or is coming out. I forget if it did or not yet. at $60, which is obviously more like double the amount. I think was it $30 beforehand.
He's saying 25. I'm just taking him at his word.
Shit. Well, either way, the fact is they're bumping it up to $60. They could be, excuse me, the plan for this game too, to bump it up after it gets fully developed and everything. Who knows? And they could make money that way. As far as Ark is concerned, I don't know how they're even still financially viable. They always seem
Also
like every time I hear about it, it sounds like a clusterfuck. I mean, they completely shit the bed with that free-to-play, whatever the fuck was going on, that no one decided to play, even if it was free. And between that and, like, lawsuits and shit like that they had going on, I just don't understand how they still have money to support that game at that quality. But, hey, and a lot of people did buy it, but who knows? Maybe a lot of people were waiting for it to come out.
Sure, and I mean,
people buy it for friends too, so they can play with friends. That's
a big thing too. It's like who's playing this game? Yeah. So like one of the things, and granted, this is one of those exceptions that proves the rule true. But like, so Minecraft, when Minecraft was first released, it was like $15, and then as it got better and the versions got more and more in depth, and they started to increase the price. It went to 20 to 25 to 30, and now it's a $50 game, I think, or a $60 game.
Is it?
I think so. I think
I thought it was 40.
Well, I'm trying to remember, because I remember when it was released on the Switch, I was like, "Holy shit, it's how much?"
Well,
because I was like,
consoles,
"That's way
I think would
too
be
much."
differently. I mean, they sell that shit like it's like every other game on a console.
Sure, but still, I mean, like the idea of like, okay, oh no, it's only $29 on Switch. That still seems like a lot on Switch. Maybe it's just because it's on the Switch. But it's like, to me, that business model, that sales incentive to a gamer makes more sense. It's like, okay, look, we're in beta, so I'll give it to you for $15. When the game's released, it's going to be $40. The problem is a lot of developers aren't coming out and saying, this is what we're going to do, is that when the game is finally ready to be released, quote unquote, officially out to the public, it's going to be $40. It just becomes a random thing that just comes out in the news one day, which I think is exactly what Ark did. Like, just out of the blue, they're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, it's going to be $60 when we get done with this," and it's like, whoa, like that doesn't seem right. It takes us by surprise, which makes the conversation even harder to have, because it's like, well, on Ark's mind, it's like, oh, we've been working on this forever, so we were always planning on it being $60. But it's like, well, fucking let somebody know then.
The other thing that Ark shit the bed on that just made me like, I was baffled by, was the fact that they released DLC before the original game was even done. I don't understand that shit either. But anyway, don't take lessons from Ark is the point I'm getting at. But I mean, I think there's potential for it to maintain. It's all depending on, because like you said, it depends on the sacrifice of quality. So hopefully, I mean, they have a huge scope and they have a really ambitious features involved, and hopefully that doesn't fuck the game up to a buggy mess. To wrap this up too, just talk about some of those features real quick. In-depth medical system. They have the day-night cycle weather. Hopefully their inventory system isn't shit, because that's always an issue in a lot of games, AAA or not. But they're making it a game mechanic where it's like basically a puzzle to get your inventory. They're making it like Resident Evil 4 style, or Resident Evil style, where it's got to fit. You know what I mean? Like you're Tetrising your shit in. Is what I'm getting at. Is what I'm getting from what they have listed. They have like utilities that people have to keep up, like electric. I mean, they're making it realistic.
It's Second Life
without making zombies. It like Arma 3, which is what DayZ came from, or Arma 2, I guess it was. But farming, things like that, they're making it super realistic, where people are going to be having their own society, which kind of makes me happy. And I even hope that I always like the idea of like political systems being in place too. Of like, there was a game that I think is being developed too, where people are going to have, like, people are going to be cops, some people are going to be criminals, some people are going to be everyday people, like stuff like that, where it's just like a legit society. I like the idea of that. And then I think there's going to be like an event system, if I'm not mistaken, triggered by, like, the AI will trigger it based on random things, like if a horde just happens to gather, because zombies are shuffling around all the time, and it's going to be constantly keeping track of all this stuff. So the servers are constantly on. Obviously, it's going to be constantly keeping track of all this. And if it just so happens that a bunch of zombies get together, that's going to trigger a horde event. So that's the sort of things that are going to be happening, where I'm assuming people in groups can join up and handle that shit before it gets out of control, and probably get nice rewards out of it as well. If I'm to go by previous gaming experiences. So the ideas are super cool. I am cautiously optimistic because the scope is scary, especially for an indie game. But if it can be done, it'll be done well. Just don't go the way of Star Citizen.
Oh God, I forgot that's still a thing.
You know what else is a thing?
We're going to talk about your penis again, or are we going mobile?
I mean, my penis is also mobile.
Oh!
Going mobile.
Oh. Huh?
This week on Going Mobile, we are talking about, I actually don't know, it's a tycoon type game, a tycoon RPG.
Which is an interesting genre just in itself.
Yeah, it's called Merchant. Merchant can be found on mobile and iOS, I believe. On iOS, if it's on mobile, on Android and iOS. If it's on Android, it's probably on iOS, generally speaking. I actually forgot to look that up. But it's by Retora Game Studios. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Essentially, you are a merchant, an entrepreneur of sorts, and you have your cronies, warriors, wizards, whatever, your heroes, as you would call them in the game, but I mean, they're your cronies. You have them go out to these quests and bring back various magical items and other things to craft items with that you can therefore sell in your store at a profit and continue that cycle of money and cronyism.
It is available on iOS. I double checked.
Okay, just make sure. So Tycoon RPG is an interesting, you mentioned it is an interesting genre, and it's not a clicker game, but there are time restraint.
There are there's like clicker aspects.
Yeah, there's some idle aspects to it, but it's not like, oh, you're getting money as you're away. It's like, okay, well, you're just waiting for your
heroes to come back
or to like finish crafting an item or stuff like that. So this is one of those games that you can check out while you're waiting for a bus, or while you're getting your teeth checked at the dentist. I don't know how that works. So I don't know. Anyway, the point is that it's a good game to kind of just check in on every so often. The farther, I mean, I haven't gotten far enough yet where it's been like a full day where I've had to wait for something.
Right.
And they have a pretty good tutorial where it's going pretty quick. You know, it's just a few minutes here and there.
Yeah, because the game is from what I remember reading about it, it's pretty involved. There's like a ton of different aspects to it. It's like you're constantly balancing a bunch of plates in the air at once. So it definitely keeps you busy from what I remember.
Yeah. The time restraints aren't happening all at once. So I guess technically speaking, if it's staggered, it could be.
It doesn't feel like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's enough going on to keep you going.
You mentioned too earlier about the art in this game.
Right. So I can't remember the article now, but I remember it wasn't too long ago. I was looking at just different pixel art guides, how to get started, yada yada yada. And I remember this game being cited as one of the games that was like, oh, look at the noticeable how you can get away with only using 3 different colors, and this is how you use it in terms of like dithering and showing shadows and stuff like that. So the pixel art in this is extremely well done.
It is. You mentioned the color. It is interesting how they kind of. It's very. What's the word I'm looking for?
You want to say bland, but you don't want to say bland because it's interesting to look at. But there's not a whole lot going on. It's
flat almost.
Right.
But at the same time, because of the use of shading, with pops of like red here and there, it kind of all just really works out. It's not gross to look at. It's kind of like when you watch like a post-apocalyptic movie and everything's kind of in this like what's the word I'm looking for? That yellow word, sepia.
Sepia.
Yeah.
Sepia.
Sepia. It's kind of like when you're like watching a post-apocalyptic movie and everything's like sepia toned.
Right.
It just works, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like how and this is like the old time medieval. Everything is just kind of like wood and brass and those kinds of colors. But muted, good job.
There it
Brett.
is.
Thank you for that.
Muted.
Not only the graphics guy, but also
Also the graphics guy.
Vocabulary kick-ass
Helper outer.
Yeah, that guy. many a title. I'm not sure. It's been out for a little while, but I just recently discovered it. Hence the reason I put it on here. And between the art and the nice staggering of everything, and the fact that Eric's camera went away, so excuse the weird camera issues. But anyway, I guess you actually couldn't see that on the thing, so I didn't actually have to say that because I only saw it.
It's just you.
Between all that stuff, I thought it was high quality, especially for a mobile game. And there's a lot of shit on mobile games, so we're here to help you wade through all that shit and come out on top with Merchant.
A lot of shit.
Retora Game Studios, and it's free. You know what else is free, Eric Game Hunter?
Saying goodbye.
Saying goodbye is free, but also sad sometimes. But we have to do it because we're not going to be here all night. Eric is tired. He has a birthday to plan and things to fix and being a man about the house. Unless your wife is the man and I'm just totally confused with your situation. I don't know. You tell me. But anyway. Your wife hates me already and she doesn't even know.
Maybe another time.
So, anyway, we have to say goodbye. If you like what we do and you want to help us out, grow, just be more awesome. We talked about IRX earlier. IRX and IGR are one and the same, so if you'd like to help out either one of those, head over to patreon.com/Indie Game Riot, and you can give money monthly to us that way. Also receiving a reward depending on what tier you choose, similar to Kickstarter. I always suggest like $5 a month. You sacrifice one Starbucks coffee, and it helps us immensely, and I always appreciate it. If you can't help us that way, that's okay. You can also go on, follow us on Twitter at IGR Podcast or Facebook.com/IGR Podcast and just chat with us and keep updated that way. You can always just show up to the live shows too. And we always appreciate talking to you. Thanks to the new people showing up in chat, by the way.
Sure.
And as well as the old ones that have been around for a while. Always appreciate your support. And I'm missing something. Oh yeah, email contact@indiegameriot.com. If you have any like news or people to interview, games that you think we should feature, all that sort of stuff, you can always send us tips and things like that. Suggestions is the word I'm looking for.
There it is.
Well, Eric, I can see that you're tired. Do you have any last words?
Keep on gaming.
I mean, Indie Game Riot dick jokes. That's what we're doing. You're fired.
No.
You're fired before you were ever hired. They just call you Sacramucci. Anyway,
preemptive firing.
I just went political. I'm going away now. Say your goodbyes.
Bye-bye.
Toodles.